Hello. Welcome to We Have Issues, the weekly show in which we talk about our various life issues and all of the nonsense that gets in the way while we're trying to make things in the world. Usually, every single week, historically, previously on We Have Issues, I have a friend. I know it sounds like a lie. I get that. Like, I understand you see me, you see this stuff, and you're like, he has zero real friends. Like they're all of his friends are fictional and or like of different, like him doing voices, right? Like that's what you imagine. I get it, and I agree, and you're not wrong. But you are wrong because I've won. I got one, and then a couple of you are probably like, if you're watching this far, if you got this far in the video, first of all, thank you. I know it's going to be a weird one, but thank you for sticking around. Normally, I have a friend who is the better looking, funnier, more interesting, and like more put together Tenet one. I'm sorry, I did that on purpose. So like, please, if you're out there, fucking like Tenet. But it has to work on someone eventually, right? Like it's a numbers game. If you do this to everyone in the world and say Tenet, someone's gonna be crazy enough to be like, let me show you how to walk backwards in time. Like, and it's gonna be great. I'm gonna get to be like a hero. And anyway, I'm already This is gonna be a weird episode, everyone. I'm so sorry. Normally I have a friend who keeps us on track, who is the backbone and like just the greatest part of our podcast. And unfortunately, he's not feeling very well this week. And you know what? So he deserves a break. He does a significant amount of, he carries a significant amount of weight on his shoulders with our comic book creation. And like, he has a lot going on with his work and such. And we'll talk about that in the future. But he has a lot going on. And we wanted to give him a break for the week. So this week, I'm going to be holding down the fort because we've never missed a week. And we're not going to start now. This is episode 175. We've done this 175 weeks in a row without missing a single episode, which I have to say I am proud of. I know that people like to be like, oh, hustle and culture or whatever. We're not hustling. Like, this is like, it's just, hey, if he needs a break, he takes a break. I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do what we have to do. We're like, do what you can, where you are with what you have. It's this is where we are. We're resourceful here, and we're adaptable if anything. So what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to talk about a few topics and subjects that were suggested that people were curious about. People, I suppose, who have watched at least a half of an episode. If you watched this far in the episode, thank you so much for sticking around. Please subscribe to our channel, and I promise it will get better throughout the year. This is just going to be a weird one. So I'm going to read. I'm gonna have some topics and slash like new segments from the colony. It's ideas that weren't from my stupid brain. Let's go. So, someone out there asked about my origin stories. We're gonna do like a quick previously in Anthony's life. Okay, I was born on a Wednesday. It was a dark and stormy night. No, it was I was born on a beach on a raft. There was a shark in the water, and my parents were like, we need something to distract the shark. And they were like, let's just have a baby. And like, can we survive in this for 9 months? And live? And they're like, yeah, I mean, it's worth it, right? And so eventually I was born. They threw me in the water. I swam immaculately, like perfectly, just to the shore. And they were like, I guess we keep him. Like, he's the aqua baby at this point. It's pretty good. And I became friends with the shark. It's a whole thing. We fight crime and also own a pizza restaurant. It's a sitcom. No, okay, so I'm an old man now. I'm not allowed to say that. I am 37 years old. I've been writing since I was a child. I began writing, playing pretend. Like I would there are certain things you're like, I don't know how to say this because I don't want anyone to feel bad. But like, the truth is, my parents are busy. People have things to do. I was a latchkey kid. I stayed home and I like pretended things. I'm like, ooh, I'm not allowed to go outside and I don't know what to do. And they're like, we only have cable. We don't have streaming services or anything. And I've already watched Goosebumps and Power Rangers. So now what do? I don't want to watch, for like Jerry Springer or whatever for the millionth time. I get it. I know what they're doing. I don't want anything to do with it. So, so I start just like playing pretend, and I play with toys, and I would really do voices, and I would come up with stories and do all that stuff, and I would draw a lot. So I drew and I drew and I drew, and so over time I would draw, and then I would come up with stories, and I would come up with my own like comic book characters and stuff, and I didn't really write at that point. And then like at some point I was just like, you know what, I have to write these things down. I did, and I wrote a vampire story when I was in elementary school. And I remember there being like vampire dogs and like vampire like fights, like a ring. I don't know why. Like Thinking back on it now, I'm not sure why, as a like fourth, fifth grader, I was writing about like fighting pits. I don't know. I don't know, but I remember very specifically talking about like vampires and like vampire dogs like fighting in a pit, like a coliseum, like a small like Fight Club esque, just like little vampire fights. I remember writing that, and then moving on, I like wrote comic books and I tried to write stuff, and I never did anything with it because like, what do you do with it? What do you do with this stuff? You write, you put it on LiveJournal, you put it on like whatever website, as the internet progressed. And then I was like, it doesn't matter. And then I was like, oh, girls. And I was like, I'm gonna be in a relationship. So I did that for a million years. Tangents. Honestly, I've always kind of written through isolation and kind of the sort of like general social neglect, I guess. Like I don't know what that is. I don't know. I don't try to think about like why I do it. Like every once in a while, I'm like, oh, am I doing this because I don't know. Like if I had $1 billion, if I had, people always ask like, what would you do if you like someone recently said that to me. They're like, what would you do if you had, infinite amount of money and you should do that. And that's what brings money. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's what I've been doing since I was like a child, so I'm like, I like telling stories and I like telling fun stories, that I like telling kind of silly genre stories that dip their toes in real human issues. That's and not like cultural issues, but like personal issues that like the individuals go through that I have experienced. That just like growing up and feeling alone and feeling like you're not connecting with people and like just like that, just the weirdness of like senescence. Um, like learning words like senescence and never having an opportunity to use them and feeling like, okay, well, what am I going to do with this? What's the point of like reading at all if you can't even use a word in a sentence without describing what the word means? So then why even learn a word, or why even explain what, like I'm not going to use a word that I have to explain what it means to like the majority of people, like, because then you just feel like it's a pretentiousness, and then why even freaking do it? So then you don't. So then you're like, okay, well, what's a better way to do it? And then you kind of like discover Mark Twain. Then you're like, okay, well, Mark Twain is really good at having these. Of course, now I'm thinking of like the worst things about Mark Twain. Mark Twain is freaking genius. So then you discover like these sensibilities that arise through like a regular like sincerity and like authentic human experience. And it's like, oh, okay, well, you don't have to be a certain way. Like there is a specific formality that people associate with intelligence, but you don't have to be that way in order to be intelligent. So I was like, okay, well, I can communicate these things in various ways and it's okay. So I started, like just playing with like, hey, how can I like extrapolate? Like how can I communicate my various experiences through the vernacular that's can be appreciated by larger people, masses. So I started doing that, and I was like, oh crap! But now not everyone's gonna relate, and I don't know who's gonna relate. And what am I doing? And why am I even doing this? So it's I don't know. So I started. So I write stuff, and hopefully people like it. I don't know. When I started writing comic books, I met my friend Steven. That's really like the crux, the main important part of this origin story is I met my friend Steven in high school, and we have like a tumultuous, like butting of heads start where it was like there was like a love triangle and like all sorts of weirdness. He didn't love me, and I was like, I wish he would. I wish he would love me. But then, thankfully, we came together is what we did, and it was great. Phrase it. I'm sorry. Listen, when you're me and you're like, hey, you're forced into this situation, not forced, but like when you're put in a situation where you have to talk to yourself slash other people for a while. I've had a beer, one single, not even. I've had three three-fifths of a beer. Shut up! I'm not doing math right now. I'm not doing beer math for you. Um, unless you pay me. If you send money to my, I'm kidding. So I met Steven, and we got along really well, and we started playing music together for fun and like doing covers and that kind of stuff. And then over time I was like, we both draw, and I kind of felt, and I feel like he would agree here, like we had like a kind of competitive situation for a while where it was like we're playing video games, which was a lot of fun. We're playing like competitive video games, and then we're kind of like both drawing at the same time. And like I don't know, I think he'd admit this, I think he'd agree with this, but I feel like us drawing like toe to toe with each other helped him grow as just like develop his style and like try harder to be cleaner as an artist, because I always got the feeling that like Steven wanted to draw like Deadpool better than I did. I was just like, he's doing it. Like he's nailing it. I freaking like this guy's amazing. Like I'm drawing and like not that I was a slouch, like I'm not, but I would draw like cool but very standard poses and such. And Steven started getting more dynamic, and I was just like, okay, he's really good at expressing this stuff visually through pen and ink. And I was like, and I have all these ideas, but like I don't want to take the time to learn because I'm lazy and dumb. And I'm not, I shouldn't be mean to myself like that. I wouldn't let my son talk to himself that way. But because I was just like, that's not what I really wanted to put all my talent points into. If I'm like, we're leveling up our characters, and he's just like, I'm going to put all these points in drawing, and I'm gonna focus. And I was like, I'm going to learn everything I can about like storytelling, and I'm gonna do what I can to develop these skills and be able to tell the story in an effective and fun way that's going to be unique to my experience in this freaking world. I'm gonna tune this particular instrument in a way that lets me play the song that I'm able to play with this dumb, I shouldn't say dumb, keep doing it. But like this thing that I have there, this silly like meat machine. So we did that, and he developed his art very really well, and I tried my best to like become a better writer and continue as I was going. And we started writing comics together, and then we made this thing. Where is it? This one. We made something called Absentees. We made something called. Then we made all of these. It was Scavengers and all these things, and we were like really like dipping our toes into making comics and trying our best given what we had. And we didn't know what we were doing, and we were like, but we were trying. We were like learning as we were going, and then eventually I we didn't have a falling out, but we kind of like separated a bit as friends, like through just experience. Just like he's getting married and doing all this stuff, and I met someone, and I was like our relationship was developing, and then we had a kid and all that, all this. But then of course, as that happens, there's a whole like trials and such, and like I went through a very serious breakup. You can read all about that in this book. Play it again. And I traveled back in time in this record player, and I was forced to relive these moments from our relationship. And I was kind of stuck in time until I learned to just kind of let go of attempting to change things and accepting like what existed in that carved space on the disc. And once I did that, we were able to make that comic book and a graphic novella. It's a semi-autobiographical time travel graphic novella, and people seem to enjoy it. And I was just like, yes, we freaking did it, Steven. He's like, yes, we did. And we also made a podcast, and here we are. And that's kind of an origin enough story. But so here we are 175 episodes later, and we're going to make a movie. We're on issue 3 of a comic book. I'm writing issue 4 right now. So I feel like every day is an origin story, really. But that's kind of the origin story of us. Movie lore / the thing. Okay. This is going to be a segment called Anthony Talks About Movies and the Thing. Anthony talks about movies and the thing. Thing is a movie. You might have seen it. If you haven't seen The Thing, it's a John Carpenter movie starring Kurt Russell. It's something of a remake. If you've never seen it, go watch it right now. First of all, share, and subscribe to this podcast. Then go watch all of The Thing and come back. No, but I don't know. Someone asked me to talk about The Thing for a second, so I will. And I'll say, like, I love movies like The Thing so much because it's terribly bleak, but also just devastatingly entertaining. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I love everything about this freaking movie. The effects are good, the acting is good, the story is fun and interesting, while also being just kind of this like cool slow burn reveal of this alien presence that looks and feels more interesting than anything I've ever seen in movies before or since. Like, what the heck? How does this exist? But I also love how unpretentiously it's able to have like this like just this fun like cacophony, like myriad of like interesting theories that just explode from it. Because I'm sure there are answers if you look close enough where it's like, okay, why did McCready do certain things? Like Kurt Russell's character, you see like certain his like uniforms all burnt up at some point. Like, is he the thing? Was he the thing from the beginning? Is he playing very intelligently in order to basically maneuver his particular chess piece throughout the narrative of the story as an alien at until the end? When would he have been taken? I guess it could have been through liquor because he was drinking through a significant portion of the movie, and it could have been like tampered with at any point. It's so interesting. There's so many things, and then at the very end it's like spoiler alert, but like at the very end you see McCready and Childs it was yeah, McCready and Childs in snow, and they both have the drink and they both sip from it, and you can imagine that it's this like obviously like venom-esque symbiotic multicellular crazy organism that can develop from a single cell, which could very easily be on the saliva on the bottle and easily take or overtake both or either character. So like either the thing's already on the bottle, one of the people was already the thing, they're both sharing it, and it doesn't even matter because they're both going to be frozen anyway, and it's going to be someone else's problem in the future, which is so interesting. Anyway, fascinating movie. But as far as like general movie lore is concerned, I don't know what that question was. Like I tried to ask and they didn't specify. I don't know if they want me to talk about the thing. I feel like I already did that, but also like I don't know. I feel like McCready probably was the thing all along. I kind of want to think that he wasn't because it's more fun because at the end then you're like, ooh, was Childs the thing? Was McCready the thing? I don't know. And I do like the ambiguity of that situation. But I also like the idea that like McCready simply was the thing all along, and we like did a really good job at even ousting other things in order to hide his identity. And I think that was really cool. And then at the end, he's playing the long game, knowing that he's going to, take over Childs. And in doing so, once they're unfrozen, if they're ever unfrozen, which they will be, because that's just how time works, and we don't know how this this organism works. Maybe they're going to be frozen forever until eventually the snow thaws because of like global warming and such. And then like as the ice melts, they come up, and then now they are the primary species on the planet, and they take over. Maybe that's already happened, and we are the weird conscious aliens that took over a specific ape creature. We're the thing. That's what I'm saying. That's our lore. Okay, so now we get into Levi. Levi, I love you. Tell the saddest story about your life that you can think of. No. Cycle through all of your various impressions and have them talk about comics. Okay, I won't cycle through every various impression I have, but I will do 17. Okay, ready? 1, Kermit the Frog. Hello, I am Kermit the Frog here. Okay, number 2. He's not talking about. Okay, number 2. Someone. This is my impression, and it's a well established impression that everyone knows this character. It's the guy. His actual name is Eugene, who happens to sound like Kermit the Frog, and he doesn't like when people bring it up, but he loves comic books. And he's like, "Oh, hello there. I like Spider-Man." And someone's like, "Oh, can I have your autograph? Are you the person who did Kermit the Frog?" And it's like, you should know that was Jim Henson. He's like, these punches him. That's all. He doesn't even bring up Spider-Man. He has a Spider-Man tattoo, and he never talks about it because it's like no one can like reach his level of interest. So it's like, why even mention it? Why even bring it up? Otherwise, impressions. The only other one I can do is hey, what are you doing there? Okay, no. Okay, let's just since Levi asked, I'm gonna do this. Okay, Gravity Falls. Hey, what's that you got there? Oh, hey, dude. I'm just reading this, the Madman comic. Madman? What are you talking about? Doesn't sound like something that would make any money. Those are my 2 dumb Gravity Falls impersonations. That's what you get. It's make up a song about vampires. Hang on, let me see something. Okay, if this doesn't work sound wise, I'm gonna delete all this crap. But he says make up a song about vampires, so I'm gonna do this. Okay. So he wants to. blood, but I don't like steak. I like the sun, don't make a mistake. I won't watch the sunrise until I wanna die. And that won't happen till I eat someone's eye. That wasn't even a thing that vampires do, but maybe they would. I mean, there's probably some blood in there, who knows? I don't know. I'm not very good at biology, but if I were a vampire, I would be so great at having a diner. I would eat every little piece of the people. I wouldn't leave a bit. I would try to eat their eyeballs and their hands. Oh shit. I should think of a rhyme before I get there fast. But I'm a vampire, so I'll step on the gas. I'll drink all the blood and I'll run away. Then I'll try to see the next day, but not the day. It'll be the night. I'll turn out the lights and I'll cause some frights. That was a terrible vampire song. I could do way better than that, or way worse. Let's see. Okay, no, I don't want this going forever. So, talk about how much Harmontown means to you. Levi wants me to talk about Harmontown and what Harmontown means to me. So, for those of you who don't know, there was a show called Harmontown, and it was something that I discovered when I say that like it was like a land that I stuck my flag into. Harmontown had its own flag, and I simply like saluted it. Is what happened. I was working alone while I was living alone while working a job that with a bunch of people I didn't like, and it was early morning, and I would put my headphones on. I would listen to audiobooks, and I listened to more books that year slash 3 years. Like in that span of time, I had listened to more books than I had read in the previous 20 years of my life. But in addition to listening to all those books, I began listening to podcasts. And one of those podcasts was a show that was pretty early on. It had just started, and it was called Harmontown. It was by Dan Harmon, he's the creator of Community and Rick and Morty, and he made this thing called Channel 101 and all this stuff. But he was a writer, and he was a really just kind of fun, authentic person who was sharing his experiences with the world. And I was just like, I relate to this so much. And like, of course, here he is as this like successful person doing a thing that I can only dream of doing, that like I wish I could do. But I was like, but he still feels like a real person. He feels like a tangible, like he exists in meat space in a way where like you could smack him if you wanted to. Not that I would, I might, just to see, like, like it's like you see this celebrity and like person in front of you. I was like, is this happening? Is it not happening? Do I pinch me? Does that work? I don't know. But when I was working in this place, and I was like, I don't want to deal with any of my coworkers. I don't like any of them. So I put my headphones on, and I started listening to this thing, and I just related so heavily to a lot of it. And like some of it, I'll tell you, the thing that really got me about it was it felt like a place that you could exist without disclaimers. And like I remember feeling that really heavily. Like I remember feeling like this is like a place for like just uncertainty can exist here in a way where it's okay to tread the water, and no one's going to judge you for getting like the mud on your shoes or whatever it is. Like, you kick the dirt a little bit beneath the water, and people aren't going to be like, ew, stop it, you're making it like less clear. And it's like, it's just that's part of what life is. And so it's gross, and eventually we're going to get in this like mucky quicksand situation. It happens to all of us every single time. And like talking about that stuff is often a deterrent for people being in your lives. And I'm just like, oh well, that's where I'm the most creative, baby. I don't, but knowing that people are still going to be there in those times, in that weirdness, in like the uncertainty and like the imperfection and all of that stuff, like knowing that you have this like dirty, dark weirdness about you. I know that's not, probably it's gonna sound worse than it is for anyone who doesn't know me, but it's just like in general, we all have that thing, and knowing that exists in others, and being like, yeah, we're all kind of scared to be this like imperfect shape. We're not. It's not like, oh, the square goes in the square hole and the circle goes in the circle hole. We're all like this, like, oh, I look like this. this, and like, it's weird. We're voguing at all times, trying to fit into like the square. We're not a square peg, and it's like, what do we do? And we never feel like we belong. But with Harmontown, I felt like there was like this amorphous place where it was like, oh, the doorway is always shaped like you. I was like, fuck yeah, I love that so much. Like I want to feel like the doorway is shaped like me at all times, and like I want to know I can leave when I want, I can enter when I want, and like people want me here, and it's okay, and it's okay if I want to be here and not talk and not, interact with people. Just knowing that there's a place for you is cool. In Harmontown, the podcast felt like that place. So it meant a lot. And then, like, of course, I related very heavily to like, Dan Harmon's talking about writing. He used to, and like, I can't tell you, like the weird, just the serendipitous, the weirdness that existed. So I'm gonna be like a quick tangent. Okay. So like I was going to college at the time, and being me, I would show up to this class super early. It was my human growth and development class. I would show up super early because my other class was right next door. I had like it was American cinema. I went from American cinema to human growth and development, which is very funny because like I feel like cinema helped me in my life more than anything else as far as my growth and development. But I would jump over there, and when I went in there was a professor whose last name I never knew, but I knew his name was Richard, and he was always like erasing the board. And he would talk to me about things because I was the only one in there. I was just like awkwardly sitting in this place, and there's a professor like just getting rid of his his lessons, and he was like, hey, before I scrub this clean of anyone who could possibly learn from it, I'm gonna like give you some knowledge, child. And I was like, thank you, random stranger who probably doesn't exist, and I probably invented you because like I've never saw him with another person. So this person, he taught me about the Bhagavad Gita. Or like he didn't teach me about it. He introduced me to it, and he introduced me to Joseph Campbell. And he was like, he did his dissertation on Here with a Thousand Faces. So I looked it up, and I freaking like I got the audiobook of Here with a Thousand Faces, and I listened to it, and I listened to the audiobook of the Bhagavad Gita, and I was just like listening to all of these things, and then I discovered Harmontown, and Dan Harmon developed this whole writing strategy circle, formula situation based on Joseph Campbell's, hero mythology, the monomyth, and it was just one of those like perfect storms for me in my life where I was just like everything I've experienced right now is coming together in this weird like batter Meinhoffian serendipitous like just crazy storm of perfection, and like just like this like I can't even explain it. It's like this poetic synchronicity of like just life happening all at once. I'm just like, oh my god, it's all looking perfect. So it was cool. It was just one of those things, like you experience these things, and you get introduced to people, and you relate and about various things, and it's just like it feels great. And it was so interesting and so important to me at the time, and Harmontown was that. It was my place to be, and it was a place where like I found myself over and over again in various ways, and I was just like, I didn't expect to see me here, and here I am, and I'm happy and welcome. And that's what Harmontown was for me for a long time. Levi says, give reasons why you like yourself. I like myself. I like myself. I do. Like I'm not one of those people who like I don't actually hate myself. What I do is like I I treat myself in a way that I wouldn't appreciate anyone treating anyone else, and I wouldn't allow anyone to treat my friends or family. Like one of those like I kind of like I like Arlie Emery myself. Just like you should see like when I write, I'm just fucking you're stupid. Oh god, why would you write that thing? But like I like that about myself, which like I think is funny because like it feels contradictory in a way, but like it's not like I like that I am ambitious, and I like that I try to do things that are seemingly unattainable. I like that I spend my time in treading the water of the weird and ineffable, and doing what I can to describe the stupid way that my body can freaking just like express itself in this weird quicksand that I exist in. I like that. I like that I've had a weird, probably usual for a lot of people. There are 8 billion of us. So like I go through a thing where like I don't think I'm unique by the quality of being unique. I think we all are, you know. I think it's one of those things where it's like, oh, if everyone's special, then no one is. I'm like, wrong. You're freaking stupid. If that's your perspective, you're wrong. It's that simple. People aren't special through through the fact that they're unique. They're special in various ways, and each of them are unique. Yes, we're not unique in our uniqueness. That's stupid. But I like that I do have this I like that I think about death as often as I do. I like that I look at my father when we're having uncomfortable situations and I'm like, I don't have to define him by this when he dies, right? And I'm like, what if I die first? I don't know. And I think about it like every single time I have any kind of like weird or good situation, I'm like, ooh, at least I have this when he's dead, or at least he'll have this when I'm dead. And I think about that all the time. It's like a whole memento mori situation. And like I kind of like that about myself. It's fun and it's weird and it just exists. And I think about that all the time. I look at my son and we're constantly interacting in this fun way. And I watch him grow and I'm just like, you need me to learn these particular things and you don't need me anymore with these particular things. And I love watching this. And I like that I have what I would imagine to be the right perspective with a lot of things. And it's important to me because I I think about that stuff. I like that I'm kind of Buddhistic in that way. I have the right view and intention and speech and action and not livelihood, but I'm trying and effort for sure. And mindfulness, although I seem like a goober all the time, and concentration because I can sit down and freaking do the thing if I need to and want to, and I have the strength and will and means to do it. But yeah, I like a lot of things about myself. I just also want to be better. And I know that I fail sometimes. And I know that I fall short of being a version of myself that I'd like to be. And I know that I have to give myself grace in those moments. And but I like myself. I like myself. Stop it. Be sexy. Also, no. Laugh, cry, feel. That sounds like it sounds like an invitation to be insane. Like, okay, what would make me laugh? I don't know. I can't make myself laugh. I can make myself laugh, but like not if I'm like, ooh, what would make me laugh? Like, I don't know. I can make myself cry if you really want to. Do you like why though? Like you want me to cry? Um, I don't I love you and I know what you're thinking, but I can't like I feel all the time. Like that's what's like most of what I do is sit here and think and feel and exist in this weird, kind of like it's not really nebulous. It's kind of like gossamer. I don't know. Like I feel like I'm like this webby thing. Like I'm a ghost all the time. I feel like you could just like you could form me like a Patrick Swayze at any given time, and I'm just dick shaped. Levi, I'm sorry. Okay, Fowler. Fowler, I love you. Let me see. This is gonna be our Star Wars segment. It's gonna be super short. Watch. It's gonna be like short Star Wars man. Fowler wants to know what my favorite Star Wars movie is, and if I like Star Wars. Like, what's going on? I never talk about Star Wars. You want to know why? Because everyone talks about Star Wars. I feel like Star Wars is one of those things that like is infinitely important and inspirational and informative of a huge portion of our society. And also comes from a Campbellian place of the monomyth and such. From my perspective, I'll tell you my first memory of Star Wars is one time my cousin Keith and I were playing at my Aunt Mary's house. My father has five sisters. I have a million aunts, five aunts on that side. So many on the other side, 999,995 on the other side. Shut up if I was wrong about that. I did my best. Um, but I have all these aunts. I went to my Aunt Mary's house and my cousin Gary, he was 8, he's about 9 years older than I am, maybe 8 years older than I am, right? Like he was watching us. He's watching us, and he's one of my favorite people of all time. I've talked about it in the past. He drew this. and he inspired me more than like anything in the world to like make things and read comics. He introduced me to Madman. He introduced me to a lot of things that I still love and still hold dear and still identify with. I remember being in their house, and I remember for some reason Keith did this, like smacked me in the ear. I don't know. I probably did something bad. We were young. I don't remember it at all. But I remember he smacked me in the ear, and I remember if you've ever had your ear smacked like that hard, he kind of did like this cupping motion. All I heard for an extended, I don't know if they're gonna cut out, but it's just like a beeping, like a boo, like for a long time. And I was scared. I was just like, oh my gosh, is this all I'm gonna hear forever? Oh no. And I was just like, this is my life now. I was scared because I was like, literal. I'd be scared now if I was hearing that for an extended period of time. Now I would also be scared. But I heard that, and my cousin Gary sat me in his room, which like at that point I'd never been in that I can recall. And he's like, "Here, look at my stuff." And he had like this like ancient at the time, not very ancient, but like old Millennium Falcon, and it had all these little figures in it. And I was just like, I don't know what any of these are, but I love this. And I was looking at all of it. And like, so for me, what Star Wars is that moment where my cousin Gary, who ended up being one of the most important people in my entire life, and like someone who meant the world to me, comforted me in a moment in which I felt like my life was terrible. And I was just like, so I was like, that's what Star Wars is to me in my head, is that moment, and not the movies. You happy, Levi? No. Sorry. But like, okay, but as far as the movies are concerned, my favorite Star Wars property is just season one of The Mandalorian. I wasn't a huge fan once they found Grogu, and they were like, "Hey, let's like really make this like a serialized thing. He's going to be a dad now," and like, and you'd think like I would associate, like I'd really like relate to that, and like I think it's fine, it's good. It's just not the thing that I really liked about the first season. Like I really liked the anthological. I don't even know if that's a word. It feels like a word though. I'm gonna use it. The anthological story structure that they had going on. I like the just I like the self-contained sort of short films that they were making, and it felt like this like Ennio Morricone, like Sergio Leone, like just inspired space world, which was really freaking cool because it's like that felt like a Star Wars to me, like in a way that I imagine people in like 77 felt about Star Wars. I felt that about the Mandalorian when I first saw season one. I was like, oh, this is special and has like these cool references without feeling like it's it's not sucking at the teat too much of any particular thing, but feels like everything at once in a way that like it allows it to be its own thing. It's like creating this fun genre while being a pastiche, and like I freaking love that, and it was really cool for me. But as far as like the Star Wars, like the actual stories are concerned, I'm kind of with freaking the clerk's idea of Empire Strikes Back being the best one. I think it was like I think it's the one that like has the most interesting things for me. Otherwise, of course, it's just Star Wars, the first one. But like I'm not truly the biggest Star Wars fan. I love it. I would never take it from anyone. I don't like. I understand the appreciation for it, and I've gone to see Star Wars movies in theaters, and I've been like, ooh, I also feel this thing when you see the crawl and hear that music, and it's like, oh god, this does a thing to my body. But other things do that to my body in a way that Star Wars can't. Dan asks, more dinosaurs, please. I don't. Okay, here's the thing. I like some dinosaurs. I like the Ankylosaurus. I like plesiosaurs. What's the other one I really like? That's what's weird to me about dinosaurs. Do you know the whole? Okay, there was this. I wish I knew like the names of the various ones that they did this to, but there was a whole situation with the ceratopsians. Do you know about this? Like, you can look it up. Go Google like ceratopsian, like paleontologist naming situations. Like, I find it so disturbing and pathetic and sad and weird and hilarious equally simultaneously. It's freaking like, how funny is it that they were like, oh, I discovered something, let's name it Cliff, and they were like, I don't think we should call that Cliff, and this is actually, you should Google it, it's called Cliff. It's not, I'm just making that up. But they're like, we're gonna call this dinosaur Cliff, and they were like, we're gonna call this dinosaur Eugene. And they're like, we're gonna call this damn dinosaur Rebecca. And I was like, I don't think that's true. And they were like, Anthony, you're so right. They're not all different dinosaurs. They're actually just ceratopsians that are at various points of their adolescence and development. As they're growing, they look different as they shed the freaking different parts of their body change and develop over time. Like, can you imagine in the future, like next time on Human Evolution, like aliens come down and they're like, oh, I found this one. I don't know why aliens sound like this, but they freaking do. Just you deal with it. I found this one. Look at what it has, these tiny little fingers. And they're like, I'm gonna call it Eugene. And then they find me and they're like, oh, this one's like 16 when it has these floppy digits. I'm gonna call it Steve with 17 U's. And that's just, it's weird that we do that. We have like those egos. We're like, oh yeah, no, there's no way that grew into that, or like, like this is clearly the same creature that just developed various parts as it went through, this growth spurt of sorts. Like we couldn't imagine puberty. We go through it. We can't imagine. We're like, oh no, all ceratopsians are different creatures. They're completely different species. There's no way that little one grows into this big one. The hell's wrong with us? Hell's wrong with us? We just want to name everything. Come on. My only other dinosaur rant is about the show Dinosaurs, and no one wants to hear that. But also, how did they like? It's the darkest series of all time. They're like, hey, you want to watch a sitcom? Do you like Family Matters? Do you like Full House? I'm like, yes, I do. I am a child of the 90s. Let's go. And they're like, you enjoy these people who look like dinosaurs? I'm like, oh, those do look like dinosaurs, but they feel like people. And I'm like, yes, they're like, yes, they do. Is this one the mama? And I'm like, no, it's not the mama, as the baby has told me several times. And they're like, that's right, you're watching. And I'm like, I'm gonna continue to watch. And then they're like, now they're dead. And I'm like, what do you mean? They're like, we killed them all. I'm like, no, that can't happen. Like, that's what happened with all dinosaurs. I'm like, are you also going to talk to me about Santa Claus in a moment? And they're like, we're about to. And they didn't, but like, that's probably what the sequel was about, because how dare you? How dare you? Anyway, that's my dinosaur rant. I was thinking you could try to compose a pitch for the comics in poem form or something like that daily. We have a comic book. For those of you who don't know, who made it this far in this weird episode in which I am drinking and answering random questions from people who are talking to me on the internet, we are making a comic book about he's kind of like this insecure loner dungeon master type of guy, which, by the way, do you have to specify in the year of our Lord 2024 that dungeon master means like Dungeons and Dragons dungeon master? Do I now have to say he's not someone who's into like BDSM? Like, do I have to be like, it's not a Hellraisian, like Clive Barkian, like love fest of dungeoning? If I say he's a dungeon master, are you like, I know what you mean. Are you like, oh, he's probably like spanking them butts, or like with various like needly spiky paddles? Like what? I feel like we're getting to the point where I have to specify, but like I hope I don't know. I don't care really, but like you let me know. But anyway, he's a DM. You guess which kind. So anyway, he's spanking people with paddles. So this dungeon master finds himself like having a falling out with his friends as he's developing as a person, and they're developing and they're growing apart in various ways. And he realizes that they're not in the same place anymore with their growth. So he's just like, crap, gotta move on. But meanwhile, they are doing this like silly ritual. They all get powers and all this stuff. Write a poem. I mean, like, what makes a poem? Right? I could do a haiku. I could do a poem is just a game with words, right? I mean, it can have any rules or no rules. That's kind of the frustrating thing, right? Like, the calling to speak is actually often a vocation of agony, but we must speak with all the humility appropriate to our limited vision. And I'm going to say that this comic book is about, I can say whatever I want because it's a poem, right? That's right. I'm okay. Agrees. Shut up. Daily, first of all, I love you. Second of all, it's getting late and I don't have time to compose a poem right now. In the future, I'll compose a poem for you about Deathless. I promise. But right now, I'm gonna move on. Let me see. Ian Snow says a ranking of Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, only the ones you haven't seen. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna give my favorite top three Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Number one, number one, um, is definitely Judge Dredd. It's like it was a spinoff when they were making Judge Dredd, and Jean-Claude Van Damme was like, he was like, my career is not going anywhere right at the moment. I have to do something that's like a spinoff of that. It was like a transmogrifiers or whatever, like it was like Transmorphers, or it's like he was like, I'm gonna make a movie like Judge Dredd is coming out. Sylvester Stallone is like the biggest name in movies. He's like, I gotta be the next biggest name, and so he made Judge Dredd, and it was literally 3 hours of Jean-Claude Van Damme. They were like, all you know how to do is kick and punch, and he was like, watch me do nothing, bruh. So it was just like a still image of his just decaying body, just him decaying over 3 hours. It was a 3 hour movie with a slow narration about his life and the fact that he doesn't know how to play chess. That's what it was about. Number two, Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. It was actually like it was a story. It was the history of just one of the greatest dams to ever exist in time. You've never heard of it. It was in Wisconsin. It was crafted by a beaver named Jean Claude. It was it was a beaver. I don't know why I went Jean-Claude Van Damme, I guess. But yeah, that was it. That was the one. I've never seen it, but it was that's my number two. My favorite movie though, I should have started with number three. Number two, number one, my favorite movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme is it was honestly it's kind of a toss up between a couple. It's hard to freaking tell you which ones. It's the one, it's kind of like it was a Mr. Bean spinoff where it was like you see Rowan Atkinson, but he's learning how to be a kung fu master. While equally Jean Claude is learning how to like find humility in himself. It was like Jean Claude is like Van Damn. It's like he's getting it, and they're like Rowan Atkinson's learning how to fight and like be a human, and because he's an alien. I don't know if you know this, but Mr. Bean is clearly an alien. If you watch that freaking intro or like the pilot episode, there's a beam, and it could be aliens studying him, or it's most likely he's a freaking alien because that's what makes more sense. But anyway, it's Mr. Bean teaching Jean Claude how to be human while also learning how to do martial arts, and Jean Claude learning how to be human, which also learning how to be an alien because he's Mr. Bean. Shut up. That's my answer to that question. Don't ask me things. Gwen said, more barnacle content. For those of you who don't know, previously on We Have Issues, barnacles have, as far as the ratio is concerned, the largest penises in the animal kingdom. They are like massive in comparison to their like body size. And Gwen wants to hear all about that. Gwen's like, yo, give me some more of that big dick content. And I was like, I haven't started my OnlyFans yet, because I can't compete with a barnacle. Like, who can? It's like freaking, like it's crazy. It's like 18 size. Like it's too much, Gwen. I'm sorry, it's too much. I'm trying. Like I'm doing my best here. Let me see. Red Heron opinions on how Bruce Wayne would be if he had jobs of some of your normal listeners. My day job is weird, and I'm kind of not that different from Lucius Fox. Which, so you're saying you make Batman? You make Batman for a living? That's what you do? You're like, I'll get Batman what they need to get. Okay, well, like if Bruce Wayne did anything else, what would change significantly is his bat suit, right? Like his ability to fight crime. Because like if I were Batman, I couldn't afford the Batman costume. You would have like this thrift store Frankensteinian Batman situation. Now, like I would be fighting crime wearing like half of a hockey mask and like the rest of like I'd be like ballet slippers or something. Like I don't know. I'd do my best, but it wouldn't be great. Like it would be like, I mean, like if you're talking about it's like a class system Batman situation where it's like the evolution goes way down until you're just literally just like I'm wearing football pads and fighting some guy who's trying to get a discount that doesn't exist at a local, like retail store. I'm just like, depending on his job, he has a deep voice, but he's not great. Okay. Wes Anderson, the director, asked, "What celebrity media personality do you find to be both absurd and also incredibly entertaining?" All of them. All of them. I like. I'll tell you, like in recent years, I've grown to love Jennifer Lawrence in a way that like I don't think anyone should love anyone. Like I feel like I see her and I'm like, I get stalking now. Like I understand it. I see how it happens. Like, no, I shouldn't say that. I can't say that on a podcast. Did I shouldn't? No, it's like you see these people and you're like, oh my gosh, like I understand like the draw now. Like I never understood. Like I was like an adult person and like Hunger Games was coming out. And I was like, shut up, Jennifer Lawrence. And then I was like, Silver Linings Playback book came out, and I was like, oh gosh, you're good at what you do, Jennifer Lawrence. And I was like, oh, American Hustle came out. I was like, oh, shut all. And then it was like she kept doing it, and I was like, you're actually a really cool and interesting and good person. You're good at what you do, and you're also really funny and not just like buying into all this like Hollywood crap and like fuck, damn it, I love you, Jennifer Lawrence. Anyway, Jennifer Lawrence probably. Paige asked, rate your top five Mark Duplass movies. Oh God, this is a segment of this very long solo podcast that we call "Let's Get Ready to Mumble." Okay, if you don't know what mumblecore movies are, just tie your shoes and prepare to not trip over this like word salad that I'm about to lay before you. No, but like there's a whole subgenre of indie movie, mumblecore. It was like there was this whole fun movement in which people were like, "Hey, what if we tried to tell like more low key personal stories in a way that wasn't unobtainable to it was like more accessible." To humans and viewers in general, like the audience could actually relate to these things, and it wasn't just like, "Hey, we're not going to talk about like spin like space, and we're not going to talk about like movies we're not going to explore these like absurd genres that I love, by the way, but like we're going to talk about unique slice of life moments in a way that feel authentic to our experience and expression. Like this is how we're going to show them to the world. And I was like, oh God, yeah, show me that weird very authentic indie auteur ass, like I freaking need it. Like that was like that's the strip club I want to go to, where people are just listening to the Shins and like showing whatever semi pretentious, like nudity that they want to show. Like I need it, like I need to see that weird blood. Like I'm a vampire for that. I am very much the the leviathan creature beneath the earth who needs to see the horror movie situation. I'm just like, oh, show me all that dirty reality. Like I freaking need it. And mumblecore movies in general are just like it's like people and like yeah there's just like anything else it's like it's a like what are you gonna do there's a whole spectrum of reality that exists here which like yeah on one side of it there's like this like David Lynchian pretension where people are like hey we're gonna be better than other people and we're gonna have this like type of movie that's gonna express things in a way that you can't haha we're better than you and then there's another side of that where the people are like hey this is sincerely what we're experiencing and sometimes there's a place in the middle where it's like hey both things are true. Mark Duplass makes movies that are just fucking beautiful and perfect and wonderful and seem and just as authentic as you could possibly get and feel real in a way that I was like, oh, I identify with this so much. While simultaneously inspiring me in a way where I was like, oh God, this is like a Robert Rodriguez situation, but also like without the guns, where I was like, this is something I actually feel and experience, but also feel like I could do. So I freaking love Mark Duplass so much. And my top five movies, if I had to choose, like based on, I'm not going to say like just his directorial movies, just like in general, what he's made. I should say no particular order really, just in case, but like, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's like, the Buffy chair is like one. It was like if not the first, one of the first. I know the first. Like he made like a short for Sundance. So it was like the John short or whatever. But like the Buffy chair is like it's such a significant story, and like it feels it feels so important to me for some reason. But there's also okay, it was like Jeff Who Lives at Home, Cyrus, but like okay, how do I choose favorites? It's almost impossible. I'm gonna try. I really like Creep for what it is and what it freaking does. I know my favorites. Like I know right away, like I can work backwards. Like my favorite is Safety Not Guaranteed. because I identify most with those characters, and also the ridiculousness of the simultaneous silly genre tropey like, hey, time travel story, but also we're going to tell a story about our personal lives and what we're experiencing, what we're going through. Like, I obviously, it was our freaking first book, played again, like, that's, I mean, that's where I live all the time. So it was like Saving Not Guaranteed, a story about a person who's going through this, like, regrets and isolation and, like, all these things, while, like, wishing you could change things, knowing you can, knowing that, you want to have a particular life and wanting to do what you can in order to facilitate that particular life. And, like, I relate to all of that stuff. All similarly, it's the one I love is like similar tones of, like, oh my gosh, like, you're in this weird place, you don't know where you want to be, like, like, are you two right for each other? Do you want to pretend that you are you just, like, creating this idealistic idea, like, dream of one another, or are you really, relating in a significant way? But, like, there's so many things about that story that I was like, oh, I relate to that. So it was like, it's Safety Not Guaranteed, the one I love. Those are like personal stories, and, like, I totally feel. But, like, man, also freaking Blue Jay, just in general, like, Blue Jay is such a well written, like, well performed, like, I think it's so freaking good. And then, of course, Creep, just for what it is, like the Creep sequels, and then, like, Puffy Chair slash Baghead slash, it's hard for me to choose from Mark Duplass movies, because I freaking love him. I freaking love him. If I could have anyone on the podcast, it would be Mark Duplass, just for a little bit, just to steal. I've been on Vampire off of his freaking soul points, and just, like, feel some of that Mark Duplass love for a little bit. Because holy crap, I love that guy. Let me see. You asked a lot of stuff, Paige. What's your favorite movie in each category? Vampire, werewolf, demon. Okay, let's go. Lost Boys from Dusk Till Dawn, vampire. Werewolf, honestly, it's just American Werewolf in London and the Dog Soldiers. That's really it. As far, like, I like other werewolf movies, but, like, those are, like, the big two. Any other werewolf movies have always fallen short. It doesn't matter. Demon movies, demons, obviously, and then Night of the Demons. Those are the two. Like, those are like 100%. I could watch either of those movies over and over, and you know that. What is your white whale of comic book memorabilia if money was no object? If I could own any, like, comic book thing, I want Rob Schraub. I have some over here, which you know about. It's Rob Schraub, just, his personal art. And Mike Allred. I want something from Mike Allred so bad. I've thought about it endlessly. I don't know what. Like, he's done a whole, like, Tarantino thing that, like, I thought was really cool. I was like, I kind of want, like, a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy thing from Mike Allred, which would be really cool. But I also just kind of want, like, Madman stuff, obviously, but, like, I don't know. It's really hard. But, like, just like real art from Mike Allred would be probably it for me. What other movie would most likely or most benefit from an oily sex man scene? I still believe. All right, what movie would most likely benefit from oily sax man? See, let me think about that. It would be funny, like No Country for Old Men, would be really fun. Any Coen Brothers movie, any Coen Brothers movie would be really funny. Just, like, it doesn't matter at all. Like, oily sax man just, like, popping up in a Coen Brothers movie would be really funny. Um, pronounce Como form for science. I already did. That's Kermel. Como, Como. Okay. Caramel. Honestly, I don't know. Like, now that when you say that, caramel, I'd probably say caramel. I don't think I say caramel. I say caramel. Caramel. Anyway, this has been exceptionally long, way too long. It's basically another drunk ask me anything situation, and I'm not sorry about it. Levi also asked, besides Vampires and Tremors, what's a movie series that you know the lore inside and out? Talk us through it. I feel like it's way too late for all of that, but I will say, hang on, the freaking Pixar movies. Now, I know everyone's like, ooh, there's that one theory about the old woman in Brave being the young girl and being Boo from Monsters Inc. and blah 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 blah, blah. Like, it's all like, oh, she's magic. Okay, I don't care about that. You know what I care about? I care about I think 100% that the monsters from Monsters Inc. are behind the technology that makes everyone slothful and just obsessed with their screens in Wally. I think the monsters from Monsters Inc. fed us our own like enjoyment to the like to run their own society to the extent that we destroyed our own. That's what I think. I think that they continued to feed us our own little bits of dopamine through like various entertainment and kept us just conditioned to the screens the way we are, and in order to facilitate their own development. I think that the monsters are responsible for the AI rise and all of that in Wally. And what I wonder is if not if the old woman in Brave was somehow Boo as a witch who traveled, blah, blah, but I wonder if Brave itself took place after Wally, when the world was refining itself, like reconfiguring itself through nature and discovering a new growth and development within itself. And I wonder if that happened after that. So maybe she was Boo, and in real time, maybe she came back to Earth and she's like, there are a lot of things going on there, and I'm very curious. I want to know about the cars and the whole Mad Max situation and what they did when there were no humans around, no freaking gas. I want to know, like, I mean, I have so many questions about the Pixar and Disney universes, so many questions, and I know none of them will ever be answered. I know that. I get that. But Toy Story 3, no, Toy Story 4, Toy Story 4, Toy Story 3 posed some really interesting things, but Toy Story 4 posed that they freaking posited that anything that's created at all will have a life and a personality. That's madness. That's insane, and it's evil, and it's not okay. Like, it's not cool. And I have never looked at any of my son's toys in a bathtub the same ever again. I look at that and was like, you're all seeing things you shouldn't see from a perspective that no one needs to experience. And I'm so freaking sorry. Speaking of which, if you've made it this far in the episode, I love you and I'm thankful for you. And thank you so much. I'm so sorry that Stephen Todd, my incredible best friend and co-host and just like partner in all creation, wasn't here today. And I know that this has been a long, weird, rambly, drunken episode of me answering questions from strangers that you probably are, because if you made it this far, you asked a question. There's no way. If you made it this far and you didn't ask a question, you tell me in the comments. Otherwise, please hang out with us in the future. We will continue to grow this freaking show. We're going to get better. We're going to continue to make comic books. We're making a freaking movie this year. I'm going to try my best to finish writing it probably next week, not this week. Normally at the end of every episode, we talk about what we're going to do this week. This week, I have my son an extra week after a vacation of having my son. So Thursday, I will have a little bit of time to write. So I'm going to do my best to write. I'm going to try to write more of the movie. And we're going to do what we can. We're going to finish we're going to finish issue 3. We're going to get through issue 4. We're going to make a movie. This is going to be an interesting freaking year. And we're going to get through it. And I hope you're with us. I hope you join us the whole time. But thank you. Thank you for making it this far. Tell everyone you know to join our little colony, to be a part of this. I know it's weird. I know it's silly. I know it's, like, who are we? We're just two guys trying our best to make things. And we're here for you. We're trying to help you and support you and making your own stuff. So, I hope you'll be there for us in the way we hope to be there for you. So let us know how we can support you, and, you share our show and we'll make this colony together. And we're doing our best to, grow together. Anyway, thank you so much for, sitting through all this. I'm sorry it was a weird week without Steven, but, we're going to do that sometimes, and we're just going to, keep doing what we can where we are with what we have. And that's freaking what we do here. But thank you. Thank you for being a part of the colony. I love you so much. And we'll see you next week with Steven. And we're going to talk about, why he was gone and what was going on. But in any case, thank you. Thank you so much. I love you. And we'll see you next week. This has been We Have Issues. I'm Anthony. And normally Steven says this, but boom. Hello. I'm not gonna start the episode like that. I'm gonna start the episode like that. Of course I am. I always do. I don't know what else I'm gonna do. So it's a good thing for you to like thank God for Twitter and the whatever. I don't know what to do about that whole X situation. Because people are like, hold on to Twitter, call it Twitter forever. I'm just like, I don't. Whatever. Like if I discovered it, and it was X. I'm like, it's like I'm not gonna call it Twitter. I wasn't a part, but I was a part of it when it was Twitter. So now I kind of feel like an old man being like, it's still Twitter, but it doesn't like it's also dumb. I feel like the reason it's not Twitter is reprehensible. Like it's all so absurd and like feels I don't want to get into it, but it feels like it was like ill intent. Like I don't love it. I don't love all of that weird manipulation that's been going on. So I'm just like I don't want to support it, but going along with it. And I want to be like what are you rebelling against at this point? It's like what you got? But anyway, just rambling about Twitter at this point. But thankfully Twitix exists, and we can I asked people to ask questions and such, so they did, and they posed they gave me some topics to talk about, so I'll talk about that. Otherwise, I'm gonna make this episode super short. I don't even know why I'm preambling for Patreon ambles, Patreon rambles, pre-ramble. It's pretty good. Pre-ramble is pretty good.